made it to delete the last recording because of interruptions. So we had 19 started cars in one row, coughing at me, sneeze. Oh God, just for the sake, I'll have to do it later. Labour Party are getting absolutely fucking nasty. Right, so phlegm coughed over me. Just a minute, Labour Party won't stop it. Ambulance and lights and sirens. It's about 500 cars in total, to cut a long story short, including a little bit I just mentioned on the bike times. Two black gun looking blue. Overhang the trailer now to try and rip my legs off. It goes across on the path, that's illegal. Yeah, it's difficult to have a say when the government have buckled your movement, corrupted everyone's movement in a twisted, corrupt way. Right, if I can get to stay on the sheet. Right, flew next to me. Right, spit talk against my eye. Yeah, van, cheering van. Stab him with HIV needle. Knife down, lethal injection, threats. And the government are making it too busy for me to read the sheet out. Because I'm Mr. Zip Easy. Shut your fucking mouth. We're gonna fucking rip you to pieces in your next life. Play about with you in a fire fucking place with poker sticks. As simple as that. The Labour Party are getting fucking nasty about it. Now gun looking cars are black fucking grey. Yeah, no say in the matter. Right, so loads of black and blue, ripped down looking black and fucking blue, black and fucking blue. Fart smells. Woo, old grandpa car. A fucking punch, said. Loud bike and Willie up to bikes. A repeating scenario that I can't read the sheet out because it's too fucking packed. Where the staggered fucking bastards. It's time to get busy, you see, murder just. Yeah, a child, get a say. Rapist singled outside now, other text. So cool, begins. Next text. Dribbling bow whistles, stab him with HIV needle, yeah, 10 out of 10, that's said. Get on the bus, photo taken of me. Step and poke my bag in dog piss on the bus floor, on public transport. Shot dead, I snap a photo of him, child rapist said. Right, cell calls. Right. On a bike issue. Catalyst stench. Your brain shot. Paedophile choked by catalyst. Choking catalyst. Willie up. Bike. Shot dead. Jason smash him round the head. Too late dead. Meat stab him. Stab him dead. Meat stab him with HIV needle said. You're a paedophile. Stab your HIV. And popping bow whistles in that dribbling bow whistling way to say the same threat. Near enough. Right, so that's a grey sexual car. Just before that, someone says sick cunt. Tunes made her a paedophile. And I'm being choked by catalyst, obviously. And they want me shot dead so they can sex suck the guts in and out of me as a baby in my next life and play about with me and poker sticks in the fireplace, part of their satanic rituals. They're absolutely possessed. They want living up to your name just in time, being ripped to pieces, nothing you can do about it. That's the Labour Party. Well, they've just made that part of the area busiest, one of the busiest I've known it for this time in the evening. But then again, it's not very often I come here this time in the evening, but in the past when I have, I've not known it that busy, even at Christmas. So like, I'm on the backside area now, right. So, sexual timed initially, 4 more sexual times, where a sexual car is timed, and then a sex car is timed again, before fart stench, and then traffic control stops me crossing the road. And then obviously there's a rough crowd, but I managed to cross the road because of fart stench. And a crowd of rough people on bikes my way, waiting, which they wanted me on that side of the road to be next to, because the government need to cause and control my movement in a buckled, controlled way. Right, so the government want me with fart smell. What fart down here? So you go and cross the road, and the traffic control stops you. Shot down, child abuser, bow whistled. Right, talking of bow whistles, for the 8 years I was living at Burnham-on-Sea, these whistles didn't occur. And the last couple of years I was living at Bridgewater West Street, the whistles were eliminated. But now he's dribbling with a bow whistle since the sexual car timed. It's gone back to how it was between 2006 to 2012. Then again, even in 2003, you had the name and shame on the paedophiles on the I think it's the Daily Mail. There was a conspiracy about that, actually. I'm not sure if it's David Icke or someone else that did it. But the government wanted to get rid of some people, so they chose lookalikes to people they want to hit off that are paedophiles, that resemble their faces, to try and knock these people off on these name and shame newspapers. And in the end, they had to stop doing it, because it was causing so many people to have arguments and causing trouble and all the rest of it, that they had to stop putting the name and shame pictures on the internet. So what they did after that is started using faces like Ian Huntley or other faces like that resemble people they want to get rid of. But then they started showing paedophiles like DJ Crystal, who is Daniel Chapman, and that DJ, because he's a hard-billed person, I don't think he got much trouble from it. But then they started doing people that look like myself in more recent times. But a lot of the stuff that they were doing was occurring in Bridgewater, when I was living in Bridgewater, and enemies were picking up on it. And this is why most enemies that were starting on me was like everything sort of went calm, when people didn't start on me anymore, stuff like that. And we came to especially the years of 2011 until eventually I moved from there. After about 5 years had passed, they started bringing new music tracks out and started twisting the TV industry, and started using the system against me to start putting paedophiles or child killers on telly that resemble my face, and then people were starting on me after that. And obviously they're also doing other stuff, taking the piss out of me being sexually abused as a child, or telling me to sex up the guts in and out of people that raped me as a child, or to say that's your partner in music tracks, doing it in a sneaky way when they twist the system against me, when they didn't much. And more recently, since I moved to Yeovil in the last 4 years or so, they're really stepping up all this action and putting shit in music that's twisted against me, and lies, and not just to hit me off, but taking the piss out of my family, insulting my mother because she's in a wheelchair, and sort of doing it in a spiteful way, but also doing it in a way to say we're going to kill your family and that they're worthless pieces of shit, and take your life away, and that we're going to destroy you, basically. So, but there's nothing you can do about it. They put it down to schizophrenia if you mentioned it to a doctor. So, it's just going to get worse and worse until my life's taken. There's nothing you can do about it, you're outnumbered. And as far as sex goes in my life, basically 99.9% of all problems in my whole life, all threats, all trouble, is on sexuality. Yet the only sex I've basically had in my whole life is being sexually abused as a child. That's the best it gets. But it gets even better, because when I had a psychic reading just over 15 years ago, I'm not sure how many years ago it was a past life reading. I was a female in my previous life that worked in a laboratory. And she says I was a very beautiful lady when I grew up into my early 20s, but I didn't live longer than my early 20s because I had my life taken tragically. And she said that I was sexually abused many times as a little child in my previous life. So she said it was quite a bad childhood, but she was hoping that this life would get better. straight after the reading, or in that time period I had that reading, that past life reading, my life got 50 times worse. And you've got to take into account this is in the earliest of days when I moved into Bridgewater, West Street, or around that sort of time period of 2005. I can't remember when it was. I had the I think I was living at West Street at the time I had the reading, yes, but I can't remember what year it was. And then obviously in recent times, like wording on vehicles or setups, before the lockdown you had setups that are going to rip you to pieces in your next life, and that you're going to be sexually abused as a child in your next life, and that we're doing this and doing that. But there was no setups to apply that were going to play about with you in a fireplace with poker sticks and set you alight after raping you as a baby in your next life and laughing about you being in a fireplace while playing about with you in poker sticks. That started in 2022. I've been aware of this sort of, suggestion, but as far as setups making that suggestion, that never occurred until 2022, and now it's sort of regular. And then they want to make the suggestion that you're living up to your name just in time, serving time, and we're going to rip you to pieces in not just your next life but every life you live, but while cheering about it at the same time, which often comes with a van that says cheering on the side of it, followed by a van that says yeah on the side of it, which is very frequent. I don't know how they get those two vans to come together all the time, but I'm not making it up, they managed to do it. But anyway, I'll leave it there on that subject. And as obviously I said this on other videos, just before the actual lockdowns, this action that was being put against me, these setups, was dropping. So I'm making me wonder whether they needed to go into a lockdown to re-set up all this organised force against me from the old setups that were dying down on me. Because what was happening is, the setups that were dying down on me before we went into the lockdown were saying that you paid the price for this with this and that regarding Stephanie Hill or Stephanie Jill. But the problem is, I was a bit annoyed because I've never had sex with her and I've never done nothing to her. So I was annoyed by that. Then obviously it made the suggestion you paid the price of writing Bomb Hingley Point graffiti in chalk or whatever it was, back in the time I got in trouble with the police for 8 years ago. I haven't done it since, obviously, because the police were concerned about my life and said, don't do it, whatever you do, don't do that. It's what, and obviously it made the suggestion I paid the price for that with the setups that are dying down. And then obviously the Sadie Dando threat, one of the most regular threats at the moment, they were making the suggestion and applying that we know that that's not true, and the setups dropped completely. And in the last 9 to 12 months before we went into the lockdown, there's hardly any setups at all. It's occurring obviously, but it dropped completely, and sort of I was walking into sort of young ladies who were smiling at me as sort of, you could go out, the setups were there, I mean you could walk about without threats. I was actually speaking to a doctor. There's actually been 2-month period with 1 threat or 0 threats on 1 month in the last year before we went into lockdown. Obviously there's setups, but it was nothing like it was. As soon as we came out of that lockdown, all the past and all the lies that's not true is being nailed at me, and it's been refixed as heavy as anything. Heavier than what it has been before. 4 times heavier. So it's like the worstest days, going back before the lockdown, when the setups were at the heaviest days. It's like it every single day. And it has been every single day since the lockdown basically. So they've reorganised this force against me. It's all gone back to square one. And also all the threats and all the other things that are occurring, all the stuff that died out. I mean, I'm getting stuff going back to 1994 that's reoccurring. That's not, well, basically the Amy Weston, for example, that's like early 2000s, and that's reoccurring. The one that seems to be dying out, or is not occurring too frequent at the moment, is the Stephanie one. It's here and there with that one. But this Amy Weston, the Sadie Dando, seems to be escalating. And even the Callum Evans is popping up quite frequently here and there. Again, lower than the Stephanie one, and lower than the Wayne one, because the Wayne's coming back. The Wayne sort of was short-lived when the setups occurred back in 2005 to 2007 area. So, but for some reason they want to bring back the whole past, even the bullshit of the past, especially the sexuality bullshit, and want to restart trouble and restart war with it all. But it's not just coming back as setups, it's coming back as threats and all, you know, and you know, stuff that's already been confirmed by social workers and support workers and even police not to be true in the past is being shoved down my throat again with a whole load of threats and whatever since I moved to Yeovil. So, not good. And one thing that did piss me off, I mean it pissed me off a little bit, but take into account I was still in my 30s, not in a good part of my 30s obviously, because it was the last era of my 30s, but I saw a person basically the age I am now, roughly about that age, could be a bit older, could be a bit younger, with a lady in her early 20s or late teens, and they're kissing and cuddling and seen as normal. Obviously these are foreign people, so they don't moan about age gaps like the white people do, but it annoyed me a bit because even back in that time period before the lockdown, people were saying you're sick if you don't fancy someone much older. But you've got to take into account it's difficult to find someone that's not a single mother and a stale used piece of shit in my age group. And the other thing is, you've got being told to go with someone twice the age of someone that sexually abused me as a child at the age they would have been at that time, for first ever sexual relationship or sex in your life. And because I'm 44 now, they've sliced my wrist, it's too late to do anything. I mean, going back 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you had Leanne Selway, you had Rebecca, what's her name, Adika, and they've been in sort of sexual relationships when they're in their early 20s with people in their 30s and 40s, and it's seen as okay back then. You had, I've forgotten what his name is, but I went with Katrina Rich, which is, he was saying like late 40s, early 50s, and he was walking around town with her, kissing and cuddling her, and it was seen as normal in Bridgewater, it wasn't seen as a problem. Today, it's known as a sick cunt if there's just 3 years difference in age. This is what I'm saying. Then you've got celebrities like that I mentioned before, Sid James and Barbara Windsor, even in the Carry On films. She was like 16 or whatever, 18, and he was in his 60s, they got in a sexual relationship. As celebrities, seen as normal back in those days. Obviously that's not, today that wouldn't be accepted. There are even music tracks that apply it, you know. So, and even my enemies, even these happy hardcore heads that had that sort of acting, you know, well, before it went into that dry and sarcastic act, even they've been in sexual relationships, you know, with massive age gaps. People don't look at the situation or circumstances of what people's lives have been like or anything like that. You're treated the same regardless of the situation, and you've got to put up with it basically. But the problem is where the government are using the music industry and TV industry twisting music tracks against me to try and bump me off, or to tell me they're going to rip me to pieces in my next life and play a black belt with me in a fireplace with poker sticks and sexually rape me as a child in my next life. You have no say because too many people are feeding off the industry where they're making stuff up. Let's look at a couple of tracks like A-Side's Murder, Trying to Get Busy mix. They tried relaunching that specific track in the mainstream. Out of all the underground jungle scene, they need to choose that specific track. When they went to do DJ Hype's Deep Jungle mix on Ministry of Sound a couple of years ago before it got stopped and never got through. Mars, Pump Up the Volume, although it's a good track, there's some suggestions in there which sounds like it says, government's just turned, pump up the volume on this music, we're going to get you. It's just dead, history. Then you've got Scooter Weekend. Anyone that listens to drum and bass has got to be hit off, shot dead, done away with. There's another track that Scooter did, or there's some lyrics that occurred in a popular thing in 2003. And it basically telling people to get rid of jungle music, saying it's all satanic rubbish, and to listen to the happy good life music, and talking about rubbing in sexuality, saying you're going to get good sex and a nice sexy smooth skin wife or whatever, like everybody else has had. Trying to cause people to destroy all their underground vinyl, try and brainwash people to get rid of all the underground music, so they can twist. Most people, I guess, didn't listen to it, but I guess there is a lot of music that's gone because of this. Trying to think of the other tracks that occurred. Babylon Zoo, Spaceman. Gotta Kill Jas, Gotta Kill Jas, Gotta Kill Jas. There's hundreds of tracks, but in particular it's between the years of 2003 to current time, where you're looking at not just hundreds but thousands of incidents where they've got the music industry twisted against me. And then obviously you've got to look at the lighting system going down at my place, when they've tried to make the suggestion of break-ins, burglaries and murder on newspapers, and the Fathers for Justice event where the CCTV camera was taken down, where scaffolding was put around my place, and where the Palace nightclub and the Squib pub was, that's when I asked Jason Dando to stay at mine. I was asked if any of the others, like Sadie or Chris, wanted to stay, or Ian at that time. This is before I was going to be accused of this and that with Sadie, which obviously is the threat I get today. Like I said, in 2011 that threat died out, and obviously that side of the family are okay with me now, because they found out that what has been said about me, and also my cousin, because it's happened to my cousin as well, where he's been abused, they found out it's not true, so obviously they're okay with me. But the threat lives on, where the shit stirrings occurred in the past, people are still causing shit, and it's also come from Kim Cox, or her side of, to what I'm getting told by people, where shit stirrings occurred. So people at the Palace nightclub, when they realised what was going on at the Fathers for Justice event, they started to wake up. And there's also in the time period of the conspiracy and the Illuminati stuff that was on YouTube, and also people saw who come in and come out my place, and people could hear what you're watching on telly from outside, so they know exactly where I was. They could hear if anybody's doing this or doing that, and obviously they knew, they found out that I wasn't doing anything wrong. So that's how, especially outside the Squib pub. But obviously the problem is, when you've got 99.9% against 1%, you're still outnumbered, and the fact that it's one-sided today and you're being mistaken for someone else, the crimes this other person's done, called Savan, is coming back at me, and it's coming back at me violently and nastily, and it's every other person I walk into in the streets every single day. As far as my music goes, when it comes to the old school jungle scene, or even most of the dark ambient stuff, I've lost a whole lot, apart from about 40 tracks, because whatever energy weapons are being used, or whatever's causing eye problems at my old place, had the ability to buckle data on hard drives and USB sticks, and it's also caused data to corrupt on discs. The time this all started, the eye problem started, was exactly the same time as the beginning stages of the early Savan threats. Back in 2015, Savan threats didn't exist at all. I mean, I was listening to old school jungle tracks with my iPod speaker on Burnham Beach on a regular basis, mostly in the evenings when it was quieter and there's not many people on the beach, apart from a couple of people smoking weed, or people roughly my age just sitting around chilling out or whatever. Maybe a bit older, and they all sort of knew what music I was into. So there's a lot of people that sort of, you think to yourself, they know who I am, know what music I'm into, because apparently this event doesn't listen to old school jungle or anything like that. He listens to guitar music and plays a guitar. The way all these threats and where these people are twisting everything, people are thinking that I'm that person, and now they're claiming that he listens to old school jungle and drum and bass and all the rest of it. and now it's coming back at me, where they made all this shit stirring and it's turned out violent with threats to kill me, to shoot me, to bash me to fucking pieces, to tear me to fucking pieces, to knife me dead, to kill me, you break and make your life a living fucking hell because of the twists. But there's not much you can do about it. So I mean, even when I moved to Yeovil, it was like, you know, you could sense or feel that people were still mistaking you when you moved there. There seems to be certain types of breeds of people. They all seem to be lookalikes to my ex-mugger Dan Morgan's friends, the friends he has in Burnham. I don't know why that is, but they're not, if you get what I'm saying, they're just lookalikes, or people that resemble the types of people that he's friends with. And quite literally everyone's like it now. So, or the government or something's controlling me to cause me to walk into those types of people. But it's every single day. Every single day since the lockdown ended, I've actually walked into these types of people, except for going to the bin, or when I walked back a couple of times from the beach when I was living at my old place, no more than about 10 times in total after the lockdown. Every single time I've gone out, I've always walked into that type of person, at least once, and on most days it's like hundreds. So fuck knows how it's occurring, but that's how it's occurring now. Right, so let's quickly run down through the times of types of people that have given me trouble. So obviously if we skip my childhood and just go to the age of about 15 onwards, most of the people that started on me in that sort of time period would have been the sort of the happy hardcore types of people that had their New York baseball caps and thinking they're the leader of the gang basically, and in crowds of like people aged 8 to about 40, maybe 50 at times, depending on what they have, because the crowd seemed to be rather odd or unusual back in those days. So it wasn't like but when I say people were in their 40s or 50s, if you were to look at the type of people they were, they're the sort of people that haven't grown up. So they're sort of in these happy hardcore crowds. So they were roughly aged 8 to about 40 or 50, and they were sort of drinking cider, getting pilled up, wearing New York white clothing, New York baseball caps. I do know a couple of happy hardcore people under their names, but I don't really speak to them because they don't really like me as such, and that's Neil, Walter and Nick. So you've got those types of people, and they're sort of just a bit older than me, born in 1980, 79. So you had those people. Yeah, so there's sort of early people that started on me, but you did have sort of other people as well, and it's mostly the same types of people that were starting on me right up until about 2003-ish. But it's mostly the people that were really nasty were in Bridgewater, rather than sort of, or people I didn't actually know and not seen before, but were those types of people. Eventually, it's sort of the types of people that started on me sort of moved into sort of more sort of maybe the smackhead type people. And they're sort of, but then again, that type seemed to be okay with me here and there, so it's hard to say. But it's more sort of the sort of people that sort of a bit rougher than the people that listen to happy hardcore, the people that like the techno, head banging music, that sort of act as if they know it all, sort of bang and sort of smash people out. And they sort of went into sort of people that like football and sort of have a strong accent, or a fighter types of people, sort of moved on to those types of people, and sort of here and there just sort of went into sort of the druggy type people. And there's a sort of phase where things were a bit calmer maybe, sort of went into the lockdown, come out of the lockdown, it's all the bearded type people like my ex-Mugger Dan type of friends he has, like the bearded type people, the people with I'll give it some accent, or I will tell him this, I'll fucking do this, I'll do that accent, and so on. So there's a lot of changes, but all those types of people I'm mentioning now seem to be more it's hard to say which ones are the safe or which ones aren't the safer, because all have posed problems, but the ones that speak like that seem to be a bit more calmer, but are unpredictable than the football type people. In actual fact, one of the football type people that went to start on me, who's nicknamed himself Scott, went to attack me in Bridgewater in April 2022, thinking I was Savenne. And if we link this Michael Jackson prostitute, who looks like basically Michael Jackson, similar to Lisa Pike in some ways, but more negative looking than Lisa Pike, because Lisa Pike, although she's negative looking and not very pretty at all, this lady who pretended to be a single lady was actually more rougher skin looking and uglier looking than Lisa would have been when she was just a bit under the age of that lady. I'm not sure what that lady was at that time, but if I was to guess, I'd say she's about 22. But she was claiming she was 18 and she was going up for a man up to the age of 40. That's going back at that time, which was about a decade ago nearly. So the neighbours where I used to live say it's a set-up by Dan. I don't know if they're referring to... I don't think they're referring to my ex-Mugger Dan, I think they're referring to another Dan. They think it's a set-up knowing they can get money off of him, so that they can move one of the neighbours out of there, or the new neighbour can move in, because they were short for cash and they wanted to do it in that way, and they said, no, I've not had anyone. But in the conversation they said it could also be caused by Oliver, which is a name on Earth before, and also Scott was mentioned, which is the name that was given as a false name, possibly, of the person that wanted to attack me back at that time in April 2022. But it could also be set up from Gemma Ferguson or one of Sadie Dando's friends, but I don't think it would be caused by Sadie Dando herself, because although that side of the family have had problems with me in the past, obviously they made up with me, and they also made up with my cousin, because they found out, you know, that all this all this sexual stuff that's been made up is a load of nonsense. So this is why they're okay with us. And I've actually spoken to Chris himself, just I think it was last year actually. He's now working in Asda in Bridgewater as a security guard, and he was surprised to see me. So he asked how I am, how's the family, and I said the same thing. And you know, so that was that. So anyway, a lot of the people I have found out, because I've spoken to Sadie, but it's not since 2015 or 2016 when my mum went on a visit, that she did say be wary of Kim. She did say that, but she did mention that she does go with people older than me, or she says she goes with very old men she's been with. But Kim's not exactly a very attractive woman, so she's not the type I fancy, but she did sort of applied, didn't say it as such, but applied to stay out of Kim's way. Kim doesn't really like her, you know, sort of, it's the way she put it was sort of, the way Sadie put it was to sort of not to cause trouble, if you get what I'm saying. So so I haven't had any communication obviously with that person, and obviously when I saw her once, I think it was a time coming back when my mum got a taxi back to go where she was staying, the place she rented, where Kim said, what do I fucking do the fucking go, what's that fucking vegetable going down there again, why are they going fucking brilliant. She said something like that, so you can see that that she wasn't happy. And also Amanda Millis, she doesn't like me. In actual fact, all the friends that are Sadie Dando's friends hate me more than Sadie. One thing that really pissed me off though is Amanda Millis. There's a website called onyourmdiscforever.com which was supplying M-discs and discussions about specific Blu-ray discs. As it stands today, it's quite literally all discs are no good anymore because they don't even build laptops with disc drives in it, or and they started to do away with USB connections and USB ports so that you can't use external hard drives or USB sticks in laptops anymore as well. I probably won't be around when you won't be able to use these sorts of devices anymore, but going back to, obviously they discontinued most discs now, but I want to talk about a specific type of disc, and it's the M-disc. And the day they I can't remember if they stopped, the website went down I think, or something, I can't remember what it was now, whether they stopped making them or something occurred on that specific day, which was exactly the same day I saw Amanda Millis in B&M store in Burnham-on-Sea when I went to buy some matches, and she was with a boyfriend and pregnant. There was a lady called Sophie that was speaking to me in that shop from Morrison's just before that time. She only spoke to me twice before the actual Morrison's closed down. I can't remember if it's B&M or whether it is actually Morrison's still, but I think it was B&M. So either way, just wanted to mention that they stopped those discs. Verbatim relaunched those discs to try and make more durable changes, but using the same material inside the disc layer, but trying to make it more, trying to improve on it. The same day, Grace Waterman moved into Thorn House in Eastville, where I live, is the same day the government banned verbatim from producing any more of the of those discs, and they stopped from making those discs as well when they relaunched them. So very interesting times, but probably coincidence, but it's worth mentioning. Let's just go into religion for a second, because it's not good when it comes to this, but there's some symbolic information that says that no one will receive over 1 million threats in a lifetime on Earth. And that's what it basically says. It's basically something, I don't know if it's in the Book of Enoch or Secret Book or whatever, but it was mentioned on YouTube that no one, well, I've definitely had well over 1 million, several million probably. When you calculate the threats that I've had, the record-breaking amount of threats I've had in one day is over 200. And the average build-ups, or 200 can be frequent on some times. The average amount of threats I get in one day, on a good day, is about 30 to 40 threats. But it's usually a lot more most days. Except for today, because today hasn't been too bad actually, to be fair. Today I've had about... trying to think now. Probably under 10 actually, so it has been a good day. So Remark's threats probably under 10 threats, but then again, that's not calculating the threats I had at the back of my place or the threats in the building. That's since I've been out. So yeah, going back to the first night of the stormy weather when I was sick, and I had the runs because obviously of a tummy bug or whatever. You're looking at about 800 threats on that specific night into the next day. They knew it's stormy, they knew it's rainy, they knew I couldn't audio record it, so they thought they'd get their fucking say. And the whole lot's sexual. So it's anything from bashing your head in, kicking your fucking head around like a rugby ball, smashing all your fucking teeth out, injecting you with HIV or snake venom, to knifing you to fucking death, to smashing you to fucking pieces in a violent fight before cutting your main arteries and wrist and throat to finish the fight. Threats to say you're a fucking weasel, you won't fucking take on a fucking hard man to bash you to fucking pieces around the fucking road, saying blood everywhere, ambulance, going to hospital. Threats to smash your fucking ribs up or to take your spine out. Threats to what was it, another one that they say, your fucking back's gone, being smashed up, put in a fucking wheelchair. That's quite an old threat, that one, but when it comes to the there are some newer terms which are rougher said, mostly by the type of people that got that accent I mentioned earlier. I'll fucking tell him, I'll do this, which is like the modern rough accent is more like it's a very dry and sarcastic accent that comes from the upper crust, or whatever you want to call it. So the posh types of people that are very snobby about if you touch their car, they'd hit the roof, or they get nasty about it in a very posh way, or they get very nasty or violent about it. So it sort of comes from that accent, which has progressed into like a gangster accent of today's modern dry and sarcastic accent. You did have it amongst the females of the 1990s as well. Don't fucking brush past my dress, you just nudge my hair. Now it's out of fucking place, you fucking bastard, you. Or, you know, it's the dry and sarcasm started there as well. So it's sort of between that and the very up, the wealthy, basically, the wealthy people. And it's sort of progressed into the accent like this. I'll fucking smash him, I'll fucking tell you who he is, I'll fucking bash him, I'll fucking shoot him dead, he's fucking gone. And it's gone into that sort of accent, if you get what I'm saying. Where back in the 90s you had a rough accent, but it was a different kind of rough. It was a tamer rough. Back then you wouldn't think that, you'd think it's rough because obviously you're not used to the accent of today. But back in the 90s it was basically similar to that chap on Good Looking Records who's not keen on jungle music. So basically what he says is, he says, you have a mainstream of shitty, simplified, fucked up, mangled sounds that come out at you like a piece of shit out of a garbage can. Yes, unless you have what Bookham is playing, which is clean, fresh, intelligent, thought out, melodies, pads and and sounds or pad patterns or whatever, and basically says that. I can't remember what he says now, but that would be your sort of rough accent in the 90s. That sarcasm wouldn't be there as such. It'd be some form of sarcasm, but it wouldn't be it'd be a different type. It wouldn't be that malicious sort of I'll give it some, I'll tell you, I'll dictate you sort of accent that you have today. But it's like I was saying earlier, when it comes to my ex-mugger Dan Morgan, known as Gibbsy or whatever, or Hornet on his Facebook with a plane picture that he used to have on there, it seems to be more the accent of the type of people he hangs around with, all his mates. And everyone's sort of styling themselves to look like his types of mates now, so it's all like that now. So, you know, I mean, I'm not sure exactly what accent he has himself, but I don't think it's quite as like his mates, basically. But like I said, I'm not going to keep on bringing his name up because it's not actually it's just as for reference, to give you some idea of what I'm trying to explain when it comes to his mates, rather than mentioning him, because he gives me no trouble nowadays, and I don't really need to mention him as such. But going back to the other type, but then again, when it comes to even the sort of crackhead community, because people are going into that sort of accent, sort of people are changing, you've got that problem as well. So I'm sort of being involved with the sort of people that like playing football, violent rugby games, or shouting, or think they're hard, or have short hair on the sides and back, and a bit of hair on the top, or have the latest clothing, act like they fucking know it all. Or the people that look like pop singer Scooter, I think it's David, the lead singer, that go in the pub or start a row and say, oh, fucking starting and I'm going to kick off and fuck. There's more of these types of people that are starting on with these days. That type maybe just before the lockdown, and then it moves on to the sort of bearded type later on, and then say about 10 years ago, just before that, then it'd be the sort of more the smackhead type people or the people that I mentioned, like that person I just did a documentary where you've got to mainstream a shitty, simplified, fucked up, mangled sounds that come out at you like a piece of shit, or a garbage can, basically. Right, this road had 9 cars on it earlier, which is record breaking. I managed to stay there nearly 20 minutes and do recordings, and you've only had that one car that's coming now. And I've had to come down there to let that car pass because it's got a catalytic converter on it. If it's going to go anywhere, that is. No, it's going to reverse back. No, it's not. It's going this way. Right, okay. Well, I've still got to come down here anyway, because obviously I'm going to be choked out by a catalyst. As I stop the recording, Seagull says, "Sad." No, he didn't say that. Basically what he said, he's with someone else. He says, "No, let's go on, let's fucking leave, just fucking leave him. You can see the fucking gods turned against him." Do you hear what the Seagull did? It's something like that, he said. So I don't fucking like him, but yeah, just fucking leave it. God's fucking put a knife in him, or something like that. So this is what this bloke said back at that time. And then obviously more and more people picked up on it. Birds were shitting times as I walked under. Birds, crows or seagulls were trying to dive over into me. And it started becoming frequent with most people in Bridgewater. And obviously you had with the Sadie threat and the Amy threat and all the rest of it. Eventually it all calmed down. And then obviously I tried to get to know Sally, who was someone who was connected to the Dando family, but obviously after sort of trying without causing trouble or anything like that, because I was using the bus service on a regular basis, they were accusing me of chasing her when I wasn't. Eventually I tried making communication, and there's a sort of phone call that occurred, and I was threatened with the police, and I said I'll leave it, and I left it at that basically, and there's no more trouble. So and obviously she didn't remember me, and I didn't want to cause trouble, so I left it at that. And that's the end of that. There hasn't been any more trouble. Obviously that went on for a little bit. You had the knife attack that occurred at Bridgewater Fair in Bridgewater, but again that's not connected with me, that's connected with police and drugs, and obviously that's even been said someone said it, I remember someone saying it, someone knocking saying, "It's drugs, Justin," you know, sort of trying to say it's not because of me, and there's sort of no problems there. However, the person that did do that, I don't think he actually likes me, you know, sort of. Either way, being there for 10 years, as far as direct threats go, there was a few incidents down the canal. Although people got shouty and got nasty when they got shouty, and I had a stone thrown at me which almost hit me by a lunatic when I was walking back at 4 in the morning one morning, and it went through someone's house's window, and he went to threaten to smash me in and knife me dead. Apart from that one lunatic and a couple of other people on the path over the years when I was living at Bridgewater in West Street, I was lucky to some extent I didn't walk into the nasty sorts of people, to be fair. I mean, I did have walked past the Palace nightclub even when they've been shouting, and luckily I managed to get past there without any problems. And I have actually walked past people who are arguing about me and saying, "There he fucking is, they're fucking sicko," and all, when they sort of giving me threats under the name Jungle Justin at that time. There's a possibility that there's another person that has my nickname, and they've got confused with some of the threats, which was discussed with the police going back many years ago. Basically, there, but that's not certain. There are people with that certain name. So, bad news is when I was camping in North Poughton at Kings Cliff in September of last year, Marcus and Matt, who lived there, used to know who I was under the name. They don't really like me that much, and Marcus is sort of, you could get threats possibly that could occur. There could be some form of shouting at times possibly, where he's not happy or something like that. I'm not sure how he is today, but a knife-shaped train, very clever Downing Street. That's good timing. Or a bullet-shaped train. Oh well. Well, let's put it this way. When I was back in the times when Marcus and Matt, I could walk past them with no problems. Going back when they knew me, because they hadn't seen me for so many years, they'd forgotten what I looked like. And now I'm getting this new, where people are mistaking me as Sven. I was put in a dangerous situation because they'd forgotten who I was. So both of them actually went to get nasty and got aggressive, but they weren't getting aggressive with me. They just couldn't remember who I was. And where people brainwashed everyone, telling people that I'm Sven when I'm not, that it's more dangerous for them to know me under the name Sven, who I'm mistaken as, than when I was able to walk past them 15 years before under my proper name Justin. So, you know, that's how things have changed. So it's affected people more dangerously against me as well when it's come to this Sven threat. But because I'm not in Bridgewater as such, or whatever, for the old enemies to start on me with my old name, you're getting all these new threats where I'm being mistaken as Sven. These animal voice sounds started to occur after enemies made threats, especially when I was living at Southbourne House, even when they were passing my place. And people started to hang around because they weren't very happy and they wanted to stay around. And they noticed it themselves that a seagull was saying ha ha. And I do remember one specific thing that was said by one rough person who had a baseball cap on, that's saying he wanted to kill me. And he said this: as the days go on, I'm getting more convinced that the actual God is actually the evil bastard of creation rather than Lucifer. And the reason I say this is because most of the occurrences, like voice sounds that are occurring, because I just have more, and that's bird tweets molested Sadie, and then a crow says knife you dead. Dog barks molested another name who I've never had sex with. This is the problem. When I was sexually abused as a child, seagulls and crows going oh, ha 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 ha, and doing sounds like that. And when I nearly broke my neck when I tripped on my bed and had my hands out, the first animal sound of the whole day occurred at about midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and a whole load of seagulls went ha 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 as I nearly broke my neck on the bed. When I get attacked, or when I've nearly been attacked in the past, or been threatened at knife point, especially in the year 2022, most times that these occurrences occur, a crow will go ha ha ha, or see go ha ha in a suggestive, spiteful way, or a callous way. When I was living in Bridgewater, it's happening frequently. Enemies started to pick up on this, and this is why enemies started leaving me alone. And that's, like I said, the Amy Weston and the Sadie Dando threat died out in 2011. The Stephanie Jill threat, or Hill, whatever her surname is, carried on for a little bit, but it was a lot more minimal. And obviously these three threats have only just reoccurred in the last year, where it's been big time. The Sadie was the first one to start back in April 2022. They're even bringing the Wayne business back up, and that was a sort of setup or suggestion that was occurring between 2005 to no later than 2007-2008 at a push. It died out completely. Even that's being reoccurring, but there's nothing you can do about it. It's the way your life's been organised. So But going back in that sort of time period between 2005 2008, when an enemy was making threats, the seagull was going ha ha, or making a voice sound saying kill him, knife him, get his keys off him. And obviously they said my debit card numbers in the past, in recent times. Seagulls have told me that I'm going to the fire of hell, that Jesus has turned. Jesus wants to fuck you as a child in your next life, as a baby. You're being raped as a baby in your next life. You're not having sex. You've been raped as a child. And, you've got no one likes you. We fucked your life up. we jeopardised you. Like God's turned in a spiteful way. So you've had all that many times. That's come sort of 2011-ish. Maybe, about the same time as when the Sadie threat started to die out, These animal voice sounds were occurring and enemies were picking up on it. So enemies saying, sort of, even the roughest enemies, because it was a mixed side, you see, back in those days. It wasn't one-sided like it is today. And it's way before the Savem threat came in and the Liam threat. You had the Nathan threat, but like I said, the Nathan was extremely rare. 1 or 2 people a year, if that, were mistaking me as Nathan. Now it's 99.9% of all people out there mistake me as Savem. But anyway, I will mention this quickly, it's not irrelevant, but because it's only been done since the end of the lockdown and the beginning of new reality, after all the coronavirus lockdowns, then it's worth mentioning, because before the lockdowns, apart from on the golf course at Barrow, I would never walk into the type that looked like my ex-mugger Dan Morgan, or his associated friends, or people that match the appearance of the type of people he's friends with, or the rough types of people, or big build people that he associates with. He hasn't given me many trouble for many years, but obviously he has had a Facebook account. He calls himself Gibbsy, and obviously he's also known as Gypsy or something like Gibbsy or something. And also he had a plane on his Facebook and said Hornet. But like I said, he sort of there's not really anything to moan about, because in recent times it's been a bit different. There's a few differences 6 months before I moved, when I last saw him, and there's a bit of a change while I was camping in September of last year at Burnham-on-Sea, where I saw him. I'll take that away. There's not really to go on about him. There's more to discuss the types of people I'm walking into. And I've noticed that most of the people I'm walking into look or have identical facial appearance, or seem to have the appearance to the types of people he hangs about with, or is friends with, or whatever. And it's all these bearded type people that I'm walking into, or these rough types of people that mistake me as Savem, that match the types of friends I've seen him with, or the sort of people he hangs about with, I noticed. Now, I don't know why that is, but before the lockdown I was walking into nasty people. That's always been a thing, but it's a different type of breed of people. It's more like the crackhead type people, and the hard style raver type people, or the people with the pit bull terrier dogs. Now, although I've had quite a lot of nasty trouble in the past by these types of people, I tend to find them more comfortable to be around than the type of people that mistake me as Savem. You'll get the occasional person that shouts or argues with you, but then again it's variable on the person. But then again, the attitude or the amount of the aggression and the threats is calmer on some of these people that mention it today, and some have just sort of said rather than shouted. But it's up and down, because 2021 there's a lot of aggressive people. I had to do 999 calls or whatever, so it's really difficult to say. But what I will say is, when it comes to the sort of people that look like the appearance to what I just mentioned, before the lockdown it's extremely rare, if at all. Now it's 99.9% of all people I'm walking into have that appearance, so I don't know what's going on there, but it's worth mentioning. Dribbling bow whistles, hang on. dog barks. Sick. Cunt. Knife, you dead. Right, after I passed those grannies, there was another bloke that was walking in my direction. I didn't pay much attention to what was written on the side of the t-shirt, but I noticed a Mr. Zippy t-shirt, and basically what it says is a darker orangey brown Mr. Zippy than the regular t-shirt, and it says on the t-shirt, "Shut your fucking face, Mr. Zippy."
Birthday. Oh dear.
The other thing that's been occurring most of this year, especially since Labour got in power at that time period, but it has happened slightly before, seagulls are claiming I've had sex with Amy Weston or been with Amy Weston. So that means God's actually lying through his teeth. And the problem is, like I said, Amy Weston's not replaceable. Because Amy Weston, she didn't have that dry and sarcastic look in the face. She sort of had an angel type face. And she's been... But let's put it this way, I'm not going to go into the sexual things, because I don't know how true all this is. But let's just put it this way, she had 5,000... friends in her Facebook friends list, and this was back in 2011 before she opened a new account. And obviously there's posts on there where she basically said, when I see my friends they all get a good whatever on a post as well. But like I said, I'm not going to go any further than that because it would cause trouble and I could get in trouble, so I'm just going to leave it at that, and it could mean anything. But what I will say is, this American actress and singer called Gabby Borges in America is just a similar looking appearance to Amy, but Amy had smoother skin, if that's the right word to use, and sort of more of a sort of, I don't know how to word it, to be fair, a sexual face, what the younger people would say. I'm trying to think of a post that I saw with some graffiti on it years ago. So like Amy is as fit as fuck or something like that. It's done in a way where to make it sound like she's sexy as anything, but I can't remember what it was. It was in sort of reddish writing, if I remember. Probably somebody that's located to Amy or that. I just thought it's just it's not sort of something I really sort of looked at, to be fair. I saw it and that's it. I didn't write it down. I didn't have like a life story pack as such back then. This goes back before that, so this would have been about 2001. It wasn't until 2002 I did the Deep Depression life story pack, and where life got 50 times worse. I will mention something. I'm not exactly at this place as such, or should I say the actual road, but what I will mention is I'm into taking pictures of old-fashioned lights, Victorian lights, the mercury vapour, white glowing street lights, the low pressure sodium SOX lighting. Not really keen on taking the peach glow lighting, which is the was it metal halide or some bulb, I'm not sure, can't remember. And then obviously you've got the carbon arc, which is the very old initial street lighting you don't see anywhere, and obviously you've got the gas lanterns into lighthouses and all that sort of stuff. Well, I can't remember, I think it's the year before last, I think it's 2022, that bad year, I'm not sure. I went to take a picture of a light as it, and then obviously I was mentioning what the government say about this, and I couldn't take it because they changed it, because we were struggling with sunny days all the time and no cloud. I couldn't get the picture. where they said something on the news, which I captured. Can't remember if I saw it on someone's telly or whether it's on the internet, wherever it was I saw it. But basically, the government say there's a street light. They need to be replaced. All need to be replaced. They're for people to see, not for people to photograph or look. Or it's just for people to see. It's there for people to see. It's just a light. There's nothing else. It's a light. So it's had that sort of attitude towards the issue. So I just wanted to mention that. Right, so there's been more people. It's calculating the whole walk on average. Obviously you can't hear many people or much traffic, because most of the time we're stopping at or changing directions or going somewhere. Just to get some peace for a minute. Or to do whatever. But for people walking, it's the busiest I've known this path in the whole time I've ever gone up here. Which is not a problem, but because it works on the principle of what I've been mentioning that's been occurring since Labour's got in power, then obviously you've got to look at it as that being an issue. I can't remember what I was saying like just now, because obviously I had to make way for traffic and other things, so that's going to be difficult for me to think of. I'm trying to think what it was. Right, I got back to what I need to say. Basically what happened was they decided to design their own sticker for the van. So they put Vote Liberal Democrats on the side of their van, but it wasn't official Vote Liberal Democrats. It's one they designed, a big sort of board that they put on next to the Ripping You to Pieces poster, and then they beeped and sort of laughed at me again, but they did it in like a disabled way this time when they saw me that time, and sort of nodded their head like that sort of a pose, but and sort of laughed as they passed. And then when the actual election occurs, it turns out to be true for the local election in Yeovil. The Liberal Democrats do win the election. They do get in power. But I thought it might have been for the main party at that time. But you did have Labour going to power. But I had noticed that the type of setups and the type of force that's going against me, and this happened months before Labour came into power, that all the stuff from 2011, or when Labour were last in power, is all coming back. So all the allegations of Sadie Dando, the accusations of raping Sadie Dando, the accusations of raping Stephanie Hill, Jill, the accusations of having sexual being with Amy Weston, all that's come back. And the thing is, Conservatives were in power when the police wanted to arrest me at the time they went to try in 2015-2016 area, because of the setups suggesting Amy Weston back at that time. And I was putting it on the internet, and she saw it and she got annoyed by it, and she she said I was in trouble for it. So the police managed to keep that on hold and sort it out, but he said it's a very fine thing, and because the government, because of what you're saying and saying that the action has been set up, they managed to sort it out with Amy. And obviously I told the police that because they had the suspicion that I've had sex with Amy as well, which is not true, and I wouldn't even be able to get that. And someone that looks like Amy would not even be possible for some. If she was 15 years, just for example, if I wanted to look for a lady as sexy as Amy Weston, 15 years younger than she is now, even that wouldn't be possible. So, you know, at the age she would have been 15 years ago, as a general overall of sexual women out there, because most people are munters now. As soon as they reach the age of 25, they develop this ugly, negative-looking attraction. However, it's a bit different when you come to places like Asia, where they're sort of cleaner-looking people. I'd say it's around about the age of 50, 55 before they go into negative attraction. So I can't understand why people are getting ugly when they're only in their mid-20s here, and yet 30s, 40s, 30 years older, or, you know, in other countries or whatever, they still hold the sexual appearance. There are actually some, not many, but there are some people it's very rare, but these sorts of people are always single mothers, and it's too late to go with this type anyway. But you can actually get people as high up as possibly 60, pushing it maybe just over 60, and they still have that sexual smooth skin appearance, but it's extremely rare. It's usually around the age of 25 when they develop this negative attraction, especially in the UK, and I don't know why that is. You go back to the 1990s, people didn't have this rough, sarcastic look in the face, or that dry look in their face, or that sinister look. And the people that were in relationships, it wasn't like a rough accent as such. You had certain rough accents, but the roughest of accents, I mean, back in the 90s, was similar to that person who's speaking on Good Looking Records on TV show, which he basically says, you have a mainstream of shitty, simplified, fucked up, mangled sounds that comes out at you like a piece of shit out of a garbage can. Yes, unless you have what Bookham is playing, which is clean, fresh, intelligent, thought out, breaks, melodies, and patterns, I'm sorry, but we're the underground, untouchable forever. He says something like that. I can't remember the exact wording, but that's good enough. Now, that would probably be your roughest sort of, or the rougher types of people of the 1990s with that accent. But today is a lot rougher than this. It's more like, I'll fucking have him, I'll fucking do him over, I'll break his fucking, I'll eat, it's like that. It's a bit rougher than that when people talk today. I mean, it's a much more sinister, but the sarcasm's there. You didn't have the sarcasm as such back in those days. You had some form of sarcasm, but it seemed to be mostly the very upper crust, the upper crust, or the very rich that had that sort of more dangerous sort of accent, or that really nasty accent. It seemed to be mostly the high up, or the rich, or the sort of females that moaned about if you walk past them or they brush their clothing or whatever. It's more like that, if you get what I'm saying. Right, so I tried reapproaching that road, so I decided to take the other direction and walk back the other way for 5 minutes, because what they're doing is they're timing vehicle after vehicle after vehicle after vehicle, and another one. So you're looking at about 50 vehicles, which is not just record breaking, but record breaking twice over, if not more, for that specific road as well. So, you know, these are country roads. You get, as you probably heard on this recording, I've been like going minutes and minutes without vehicles. Get to another road which is basically similar to this, the same in fact, and they need to time about 50 vehicles. So, like I said, since April, they've stepped up this action. They knew that the Conservatives were losing power, you see, and before Labour came into power, they were adjusting those setups months before Labour came into power. But they were also saying that the Liberal Democrats are ripping you to fucking pieces. Because on a regular basis, since roughly April until the election in July, on the 6th of July, they were timing this person. There's a person that drives a van saying ripping you to pieces, which is a stationary van, which is a paper shredder van. Now, it's a discontinued shop or company that's kept the writing on the side of the van that's still driving around in it. And in the early days, when I see this person, even in April, I've seen him a few times, you know, but he started shouting threats saying, I'm a surveyor, I'm a child rapist, and fucking bash you in, you sick cunt. So he is actually a nasty person that's driving that van. They're bearded types of people, obviously, the type that start on me, and a rough accent. Well, as time goes on, between April, he saw me on a regular basis, and there's sort of, initially, it's still straight faces for a while, or the odd thing shouted, or the van revved as they passed me. And I was sort of writing down on my paper that they're timing this ripping you to pieces van as I pass a sign saying vote Liberal Democrats, win in here. So, and it was happening so frequently, they started to pass me, and eventually, as they were passing me, they started laughing. And they started beeping and started laughing as they passed me. And again, it's at the ripping you to pieces, vote Liberal Democrats. And on one occasion, as they beeped and laughed, they pointed out to the vote Liberal Democrats, and they started becoming a little bit happier with me. And eventually, when fucking hell, eventually, when oh god, I've lost my wording now because someone's on the phone or somebody's distracted what I was going to say. Hang on a second. I had to stop the recording there because I had I felt like I was going to need the toilet, and all is fine. It's probably because I haven't eaten on this occasion today. The road's flooded, so I can't get down there. I remember coming down here in 2021 or early 2022, late in the evening, and I think this might be on YouTube, I'm not sure. I can't remember if it is. It'd be on a very old account. It's where this what was it occurred? This bloke and this girl were having sex, and I got very upset about it because obviously I've not had anyone in my whole life, and the fact that this bloke is just only a few years younger than me and having sex with like someone who's only like 16, 17, 18 or whatever really pissed me right off. I can't go anywhere, this road is flooded. So obviously back then I knew that people were moaning about age gaps, but I didn't know it's as nasty as what it is now. And obviously I'm like 3 years older than what it was then or whatever. So there's been a lot of problems. When I first moved to Yeovil, there's a lot of people that were starting me, and there's a specific time period where it's really nasty. And it's from the second week onwards in 2021 when I first moved there, right through until roughly August to September 2022, just in the time period when I was camping at Portland. All these setups, all these threats were on a mass scale of 40 to 150 threats a day, and there's even had to do 999 calls where I've been threatened to be smashed in. I've had knives held up at me, I've been chased with knives, both mistaken as Liam and Savan. But it wasn't until mid-2023 that people started twisting Savan as me, or claiming that I changed my name from Savan to Justin, which is not true. My name's always been Justin, and I have put evidence on the internet. Obviously I can't put birth certificates or that sort of evidence on the internet because people have fraud my details, but there's pictures of me holding the music of jungle and old school dance trance mixtapes or whatever, which are jungle mixes from the 90s back in the day. So I've put pictures like that on to confirm who I am, and people still don't believe it. They think I'm a guitar player, and they think I changed my music and think I'm Savan. And it's getting a lot more widespread, and it's getting a lot more nastier. Every single village in Somerset that I visited using public transport, I've been mistaken as Savan, and I'm not making that up. Weymouth, the very first time I went to Weymouth was in March 2022. This was with Helen, one of the staff workers, and went with Sam as well, one of the neighbours. It's quite a nice day out. I don't think I recall there being a single threat. Maybe just one person that said he's a child rapist, but it didn't sound like it was anything like. It's just it could have been, might not have been. But the second time I went, which was by myself for a day trip on my own, that was where all the threats occurred. And I was thinking to myself, apart from that time I went with Helen and that second time I went on my own, I haven't been to Weymouth for 20 years. So why is all the threats occurring? And then when I did eventually go camping at Portland and visit in Weymouth, those threats were still increasing to roughly 40 to 100 threats per day while visiting. Most of it was mild, most of it was nasty mild. So aggressive, but where people are keeping their behaviour in control, if you get what I'm saying. And take into account, I've not been there for 20 years and I'm being mistaken as that Savannah. I'm being told this and that. So there's a CIA, military or FBI shit stirring and causing trouble, because if we go back to Bridgewater, when I was living there, before people started to calm down at the Palace nightclub, in the time period when the Sadie Dando and Amy Weston threats began to stop, they were speculating that it's caused by the police, saying that they're crooked, or saying there's some organisation that's connected to the government that are trying to hit him off or whatever. And obviously they were, at the time this was occurring, you had all the Illuminati and conspiracy stuff on YouTube, and they're all shouting their heads off saying they're making it up, and I can tell you they're fucking making it up. I see him every fucking day. He lives in that fucking top flat there. And I said that he's never done anything there. And then the people at the Squid Pub, you know, sort of backed me up. You did have those that were disagreeable, but whatever occurred, when we came to the year 2012, everything calmed down. Obviously you had Alex Lunnis and Lee Tremaine, or Tremaine or whatever his surname is, that moved into the back of where I live. So they lived at Southbourne House 31 or whatever it was. They're just people I used to know at North Peverton, and they're people that know Shara and Amy Weston, you know, sexual types of people I can told I'm a sick cunt if I look at. In actual fact, there's a picture of Shara Weston that I showed someone, because I just random picture that I showed going back about a year ago. This would be the age she is now. And I said, sir, how would it look if I was to fancy that specific lady? And this person on the internet said, you're a sick cunt, you're an absolute fucking sicko, you're fucking sick as fuck. And I thought to myself, I don't know how old this person is, but I know that she's a suitable age, you know, of someone similar to my age, basically, or that sort of area. So I don't actually know what her age is, but she's a bit older than Amy Weston. And Amy Weston's only about 5 years younger than me, if that. So, you know, she could be older, but I don't think she is. But either way, I'm told I'm a sick cunt by the picture I showed. And this is just a random picture I chose at the time that I saw on Facebook that I took off just to have a discussion with one specific lady who was having an argument with me, telling me I'm a sicko because I won't take to the negative type. Anyway, I won't go into any details on further than that, because that's as far as it goes, because obviously she blocked me and told me I'm sick, and that was the end of that. I don't use dating anymore, you see, because it's all time wasters and people that are scamming you for money, or we've got you down as a sick cunt because you won't fancy a vegetable looking face. But if we go back to Gemma Ferguson, a bloke a bit older than me, who was friends with a bloke a bit younger than me, going back when I first moved to Burnham-on-Sea, they said they're absolutely fucking shocked that I can fancy this Gemma. At the time I didn't know what her surname is, or just her first name. But they said they're absolutely shocked, and they said there's no problem with that. She said she's a few years younger, but, you know, sort of said, but I'm absolutely shocked. Says he's the sort, I didn't know he takes to that attraction. Say, I'm surprised he can take to Gemma attraction, because she's not one of the prettiest. She's okay, she says she's basic, but saying she's not one of the prettiest. And what happens 8 years later? I try and make communication with her to say, she ask if she's single, and she says, you're a sick bastard. Absolutely fucking sick. What the fuck do you think you're doing? Adding a 31-year-old lady asking if she's single, you fucking sick bastard. You just landed your whole fucking life in hell, or fucking jeopardy. You're going to be fucking, all the people I have against you. Well, you know, so that just says it all, doesn't it? And that's 8 years on top of when these people said they were shocked that I could fancy that person. And you've got to take into account she was going slightly more negative as those years were going on. Not too negative, but she was going into more negative attraction than what she would have been back at the time when this was said. And yet I'm known as a sick bastard if I don't look at fucking granny now. So they cut my throat big time. I couldn't go the other way because it's flooded. I'm just trying to think. I'm just trying to get trying to think, because I've been up here before this time in the evening, but it's not been very often. It was in 21 and 22 when I did. So you have to work it on that principle for the rest. So I'm trying to think. Back in 2021 and early 2022, mid 20, no, it would have been earlier than that. Because it's April 2022 when they stepped up all these setups. No, March, sorry, 2022. This is interesting because the first week I moved to Thorn House, I was not supposed to move there until the following week. But I was allowed to move there the week before. In that 1 week period where I was there, before I actually initially moved there was no setups. And I thought, this is very strange. It's when we came into the second week that these setups were suddenly organised and rigged up around me in a controlled way. and I've always wondered what's going on there, because you had the whole week, you could literally walk about in the same way everyone else could walk about, for that 1 week only. When we came into the second week, bang goes all the sales, heavy as hell, and it's been like it ever since that second week. And I think it was the second week I went to Tesco's, which I've never been to before in Yeovil, and I had something like 40 threats of people starting on me, mistaking me as Sven. And yet I'd never been to that Tesco's before. In actual fact, I've never been to I've not been to Yeovil, apart from the visit just before I moved in, or whenever it was, a couple of days, one day or whatever before I moved in, when the social worker took me there, and the day I moved there. Take that away, I haven't been to Yeovil for over 8 years using public transport. And when I did go to Yeovil using public transport, the town was nowhere near as busy as what it is now. It was like a ghost town. So that's all changed as well. So I don't know how or why they're doing it, or why the government are causing it, but they're trying to control everyone's movement around me to cause as much havoc, as much trouble, as much shit stirring, as much fucking problems and misery as they can fucking stack in my path. Other people have actually noticed this, and other people that have actually said that it's been very busy where I am. There's been over 50 people, if not, well over 50 people that have said they've seen this stretch of road busier, or they've seen this estate busier than they've ever seen it before. If we go back just before I moved, even at Burnham-on-Sea, on the back housing estate, I was passing it, so like 7 o'clock in the evening on a summer evening, going for a walk to go towards Barrow Golf Course, and these two people said they've been there 30 years, and they said they've never known it to be as busy as what it is on this estate today as it has ever been in the 30 years they've lived there. That's 30, not 13. So you know, and there's been many other people that have said this. There's quite a few incidents of people saying this just before I moved. But if we go back before the lockdown, say 2019 or whatever, there's not many people that are actually mentioning that. I can only recall there being several people, no more than 3 or 4 people, that said this is the busiest they've known this part of the road or whatever since, you know, for many years or whatever. But since we've come out of that lockdown and gone into a new way of life with more controlled force and organised crime against me and whatever, you're looking at over 50 incidents in the last 4 or 5 years of people saying that they've never known. And even this year you've had about, what, let's work it out, just under 10 people saying that it's busier this year and that they've known it in. Right, so we're starting to reach the record-breaking figure. There we are, fucking splash me, you bastard. Right, so yeah, we're coming close to the record-breaking figure now of the cars for these roads as well. If there's another 2 people after this, that's not 2 people like in a crowd, 2 sets of people. They've broken the record for the amount of people that have walked down this path for both directions, believe it or not. In the whole time period I've been out at this place, where I've walked this or other roads. Different for cyclists for all the roads on this stretch, but for actual people walking, another 2 sets of people, because obviously we've had 19 sets of people already that I've written down. You've broken the record. And also the cars are picking up and coming in my direction as well, Downing Street. And there's a red car, so they want to tell me that I'm going to be dead, with the threat that I had. Right, the lady that's photographed me either said, "Goodbye Ryan," or "Goodbye Lion." I guess I spelled Lyan. Obviously that's not my name. The problem is I've been photographed. Right, so I've been photographed. I can't see actually who it is, or whether it's a male or female. But let's get on with what I have to say, shall we? So that's what's caused all the trouble in 2022. I had somewhere between 40 and almost 150 threats each and every single day almost of 2022 where I was being mistaken as this child rapist called Savan. If we move a little bit forward in time from that day, and obviously all that's being said nowadays is the reason for the burning is because of the you tried blowing the place up with diesel or raped Sadie Dando. That's all that's being said all the time, and saying you're being beat up or you're being fucking knifed or injected with HIV, and in some cases you're being shot. But some of the things that Matty was doing is like he's given all his devices to another neighbour before he decided to try knifing the staff door down when he got evicted. But apparently people are arguing, saying it's my door that he should have knifed down because of claims that I raped Sadie. So that's been causing arguments amongst neighbours as well. But the problem is I've never had sex with Sadie. Now I don't want to have to accuse or mention these two people's names, but Ricky Hux and Jamie Fenlon are the two that were associated hanging around with Sadie on a regular basis. Most other people weren't, and nor was I. And most times when I visited, I was usually on the laptop or PC or whatever it was, looking to download specific music. And on one occasion I was accused of another thing, which was on Sadie's birthday. I can't remember if it's her 8th or 9th or something like that, and at the exact time that I was about to be accused of something, and I said I've been sitting there the whole time, I was actually downloading DJ Lee and Gwanj 2 Deep from a site called Sinlord, spelled Sinelord, at the exact moment, the exact time of when something went on which I didn't know about, because I was paying too much attention trying to get some music off of that website at that time. And there's another track they had on there which is Q Project and Spinback, Lively Connection, which I also downloaded at that time. Later on I got the vinyl for 25 quid. There's been a few issues when it comes to that. I had to pay 150 quid to get that vinyl back in a rougher condition, but unfortunately with the break-ins and all the other problems and all the rest of it, and these energy weapons going back to my old place as well as this place, has cost me all my music. So this is why I've not been very happy in recent times, and this is why the social worker's been in the mood with me when I lost my temper on an April recording I did, or late March recording I did back of this in 2024, because obviously you know, to take your life away, to take your music away, and to fucking accuse you of this on sexuality when you haven't had sex in your whole life, apart from being raped as a child and being treated as a disgusting bastard and treated like a sick bastard and told you're a sick cunt because you won't fancy an old granny on a Zimmer frame or a face that looks like shingles off the floor or sick off the floor, then obviously, you know, I don't take it very nicely. And obviously you've got to take into account all my enemies have had sex with the purest of people, and I'm told I'm a sick cunt if I look at anyone, you know, the age I was when I was living at Bridgewater, West Street. And yet, even then, I was told that you're not supposed to, that you've got to go with sour attraction of people of that age back then, saying, haha, you've got to go with an ugly bastard that you can't fancy, that's age 32 or whatever. And it's not just come true, but they've upped the age another 10 years on top of that. You've got to take that into account as well. They say if there's more than 3 years difference in age, you're a sick bastard and you're going to get your fucking head kicked in and be beaten to death, or your head kicked fucking around like a fucking rugby ball, or whatever. Anyway, going back to energy weapons, if that's what's causing it, because something's causing it. There was some graffiti, and it's not my graffiti, it was actually there before I moved to Thorn House. And it said Infra Blade. And you could work out the suggestion, because I was thinking to myself, you look at the eye problem. It was working on the burning, but there's a bit of, well, it's more in the eye. It was sort of, it just clicked that there could have been possible other energy weapons, but I didn't. This goes back to when I first moved there, and basically what it applies is it applies to anyone who wants to use energy weapons, then they're going to get smashed in and fucking knifed. And basically, there's another bit of graffiti that was by it and all the rest of it. I can't remember what it said. But it was to apply, if you've got a fucking problem, you deal with it face to face and you explain the problem. You don't cowardly try and use an energy weapon or whatever. It's in a more sort of stable term than I'm doing it. A bit more sort of, I make it known to you. So, but it's basically, what it's saying is basically what I told you. So, if you've got a problem with something, you deal with it the fucking right way. It's sort of like that, you know, made stern to people. But in a gangster type way as well. Well, obviously I saw that, but I didn't get any of these problems, you know, for over 2 years, you know, 2.5 years. They remained pretty much normal. It wasn't until January the 1st, 2024, where I started to experience this. And then it sort of died out, and then sort of, and this mostly eye problems initially, and then obviously it went into the burning in February. But I do recall, I think it was the last Sunday, or the 31st or 30th of January or whatever it was, or that sort of time period, where I noticed the start of the burning, but it's only very mild, so initially. And then the power has increased. But it's also at the same time that Peter Ritchie was having friendship with Matthew Honeysett, the neighbour that got evicted. Now, how true that is, whether he did want to knife my door down, is uncertain, because when he came to my floor and came to my door, there was someone else with him on that day, in that early hours of the morning. And although he's losing his temper, he seemed to be more aggressive towards Peter's door than he was my door, and he got even worse when he went down to the second level to go down to wherever it was, went down after that. So he was actually the calmest he was when he was shouting a bit, even when he was at my door, but the actual aggression or the nastiness of it wasn't at my door as such. And this is what doesn't make sense, because I mean, he could have got confused of what door it was, and or whether it was for, he wanted to actually do my door in or whatever, or it's not certain. But obviously, come 7 o'clock in the morning, I fell asleep. So whether there was a second incident where he came up and about, I do not know. But what I will say is the bad news is I did actually accidentally leave my door unlocked on that specific night when I fell back asleep. But no one tried yanking open the fire door to my place to open my normal door. And it was the staff office door that actually got knifed. So where the story lies there, I do not know. But what I do recall is I recall him getting nastier when he went towards Peter's door than when he went to my door. But I couldn't really make out what he was shouting. I couldn't make out, but it was definitely somebody with him, male. It sounded like it got nastier when he went down towards his floor or below. So I mean, it's unlikely, but it's genuinely, there could be, there might not even be nothing connected to me. I do not know. It's the way it occurred. If it was more rational and it was nastier where I was, you know, to my door on that night, but he was getting, you could see he's building up. But there's another thing that has been mentioned, because he doesn't like people that dress in certain ways or stuff like that, I guess, maybe. There's that possibility as well. But like I said, I'm not going to go into mention anything further than this, because it's not my business, and this is all possibilities and not for me to go into. And obviously I don't like stirring trouble or causing trouble. I mean, obviously I have no problems with most people, but no one actually really knows the answer except for the staff and the police and whoever is involved in what was caused. So I mean, it could just be related to too much intake of alcohol, drugs or whatever, because that can cause it as well. But on that subject, when it comes to that person, it's not valid because he's not there anymore. But what I need to talk about is this burning. So going back to the burning, all the time, nearly all the time, there's conversations, there's foot tapping or banging, and this banging's getting slightly nastier, I've noticed, a lot more kicky and a lot more sort of aggressive from this, well, I don't want to put it like this, but from Peter's flat, and I don't know why that is. It started to get nastier, and obviously the burning's getting badder. So, whether he's going through mental health issues, or whether he's getting nasty, but a lot of this banging is saying, it's done in a way to say you molested Sadie Dando, you're having a break-in, you're being knifed, you're being shot dead, or injected in the same way. And there's also the type of items that were sounding like they were coming from Matty's flat before he got evicted, like the certain type of gun sound that's been occurring. It might not be, it might just be a sound that sounds similar. And you've also got the burning, obviously, because it's interesting, the burning lasted for a month after Matty, until the Matty, after one month after Matty was evicted or whatever, and then it started to creep up again, started here and there, slowly increasing again, the burning, and then the burning started to become a frequent issue where it was as bad as when it was when he was here, and last night was one of the worstest nights. Well, it wasn't occurring overnight, because I was up all night last night. It started at 7:55 AM. Then there's like a 45-minute period. So it went on so Peter went out for about an hour, and it was persistent for an hour. This is another thing. I don't want to have to accuse him, but every time this occurs, he goes out. So, you know, I don't like I said, I don't like accusing people, but there's too much of things that are obvious that's causing it. I've spoken to him about this. I've spoken to a doctor. They put it down to schizophrenia, and Peter likes to put it down and say it's part of your cause by schizophrenia. But the problem is, it's showing up on radiation detectors, gamma ray detectors, and EMF meters. And, you know, he just says he doesn't want to speak to me. I'm not in a bloody mood for it. Leave me alone if I mention that sort of thing. The doctor's now becoming a bit more flexible with what he says, you know, about this problem, because of the way it's happening in certain times and that. But he still has to look at it as being a diagnosis of schizophrenia causing it. But he's starting to, starting to think that he's starting to look he's starting to have more sort of, maybe there is something that's causing this sort of thing, but he's not going into too much depth because he doesn't know the ins and outs of me properly. He doesn't know me, you see. He's only ever seen me 3 times, I think, ever since I've lived in Yeovil, when I've gone to visit him. And if we go back to before I started visiting him this year, this burning wasn't occurring. So, but what annoys me is he says it's, not so much directly, but it has been said directly. If we go back 4 or 5 months ago, when he's had his off days, saying that it's because you tried blowing the place up with diesel, which is not true. In actual fact, I was struggling to breathe because of the smell of petrol 2 years before this burning started, and we've had the fire brigade there. But what happened was someone was taking the lid off of a petrol can, and it's causing it to be very smelly. But it was to a point where I was struggling to breathe, and then obviously it became frequent. So I had to report it because I had the windows open and I was struggling to breathe, and it wasn't coming out on the CO2 or the fire detectors to give you that sort of, whatever. Now that stopped in 2023, nearly the whole of 2023, apart from the beginning part maybe here and there. Most of 2023 it didn't occur. In 2024 there's a few times it occurred. One of the times it occurred was trying to think. It's actually occurred once or twice after Matty got evicted, and it smelled like it come from the other neighbour I mentioned, but it could be outside. But it's rare, and I've got a lot of people around me, so I'm gonna have to cut this recording in a minute. the times he's burning, or this burning sensation occurs, has changed. So initially, to give you a bit of a story about this, so initially I was speaking to, texting Peter, Peter, neighbour. Take into account back in that time he wasn't very happy, and he was always unhappy with me, or he wasn't very good mood most of the time, and he didn't seem that calm. And he texted me meaty in capital letters with the upside down I, whatever the name is of that punctuation, I've forgotten what it is. And that was the start of the burning problem. When the burning problem occurred, is also at the same time he made friendship with Matty. And this went on for several days, but the burning was so intense, it's causing similar effects to seizures. Now this is, whether that's the right term, I have spoken to someone on 111 if that's the right term for the symptoms, and basically they said you do get that with seizures, but this is being caused, you can feel it's being caused by an energy weapon. Anyway, this one went on for several days, and it was too bad for me to stay there. It's making me too ill to stay there. The burning was intense. It's frying me. It's burning me, it's cutting into my skin, and it's cutting into my bone, it's burning into my bone. So, at that time, take into account, Peter wasn't questioning if I raped Sadie Dander or anything like that back in that time. It was only after he made friendship with Matty that this came in. So, obviously, Peter and Matty went out together while burning me to death almost at until 4 in the morning when I came back, where he phoned me at 4 o'clock in the morning and woke me up. Matty and Peter obviously arrived back, which was the same morning that my dad was going to pick me up, on which would have been later on that day, which he did pick me up later that day. So Clive called me into the staff office to say that there's been a spillage of fuel outside, saying he doesn't know what it is, whether it's diesel, white spirit, paraffin or something like that. So I told him that I'm not getting involved in that. I said at the moment, this minute in time, the thing that I want stopped is this burning, because it's making me very ill. So I didn't want to get upset about it, but it could have killed me, and it has taken Grace into hospital, if it is that has caused it. So Grace Waterman's in hospital, if that's what's causing it. So Peter was accusing me of saying that the reason for the burning is because, in threats from, or what I'm hearing as things being said, is sort of made the remark when he's not been happy, sort of not so much in recent times, but going back about 3 or 4 months ago, and saying that you tried blowing the place up with diesel. And I said if I was trying to blow the place up with diesel, the diesel would be inside the building and not outside the building. And then I had a conversation and said, have you ever considered that someone could have been filling a paraffin lamp up and it could have spilt from that, or it could be another thing that occurred, and a more rational explanation, and possibly that person doesn't want to get told off, so hasn't actually explained the issue of what really happened on that specific night. And obviously I was up and down those stairs like a yo-yo on that night, because I couldn't stay upstairs because the burning was intense. I was actually very ill. But this is what's puzzled the doctor, because he thinks it's schizophrenia, but it's the fact that I stayed at my dad's for 6 weeks, and after the first couple of nights the burning didn't occur at all for the 6 weeks I was at my dad's. I went back to my place for a couple of times because I had to go back, not just to visit, and I noticed that when I came back to my dad's I was getting burning sensations where I visited my place, which is the aftermath of visiting my place. In the end, I had to go back, and I decided to create some form of tent to shelter in to avoid the situation, and to some extent I still use something similar now to try and eliminate the problem, but the problem is the power of whatever's being used as an energy weapon goes beyond that. Right, so 15 minutes have passed, and obviously they've opened the blue sky up, so it's a sunny day. I knew it was going to be sunny, there's nothing you can do about it, but it is cloudier or hazy sunshine back in Yeovil. I'm able to do a bit of walking, but irritable bowel syndrome, or whatever it's called, where the shits are occurring again, has started since I've had something to eat. Nothing I can do about it. I don't believe it's part of the connection of the stomach bug, because, like I said, all of yesterday I didn't have this problem at all. Just one tiny bit of it in one part of the day yesterday. Take that away, I've been fine, with no problems at all. So, but then again, I haven't eaten hardly anything today either, so that can contribute to that problem as well. And I think it's a 24-hour rather than a 48-hour, because those symptoms were cleared yesterday, and I just went into a migraine, and I was up all night. And obviously, I'm doing a walk. This is why I've come out, because obviously I need to do a walk to get back into the routine of my normal daily things, because I'm back to normal. I actually feel normal. And when I did have that stomach bug, you did have like flu-y symptoms that were with it for the time that it occurred. That's all gone now, I feel back to normal. But where I've been sort of bloated all day because of energy weapons, then it's starting to make me feel that's probably what's causing the shits. I get it quite often when I wake up in the mornings and go to the loo first thing, but when I go out for the day, you're back to normal, and then obviously when you come back you sometimes get it again. But I don't believe that it's energy weapons that cause this 24-hour tummy bug. It's a little bit more severe, this was. I mean, it could be, but it's unlikely. However, the intensity of this burning is a lot worse than it has been for quite a while. Right up and since that time when I was going out in the evenings, it's like he needs to cause a whole dosage of it to try and kill me. And it's a possibility that this is what's put Grace Waterman in hospital. I'm not saying it is, but you know, you just got to look at it as a possible theory. And it's nice to know who your friends are if they're trying to commit murder and you're in a sly way, where it goes unnoticed and disguised, if that is the case. You know, I mentioned the eye problem at my old place, where in some ways it still occurs, but there's a different type of eye problem than I was experiencing when I was living at Burnham-on-Sea. But I was experiencing this type of eye problem as well when I was at Burnham-on-Sea. But like I said, when I moved to Thorn House, these symptoms didn't occur for 2.5 years. It was only when the start of this year, 2024, that all this occurred, the burning and the eye problem and all the rest of it. Otherwise, there was a couple of days where there was eye problems. They were at times when Mark came back for a couple of days. Take that away, there hasn't been any burning since I've lived at Thorn House. Whatever's been causing this burning has put me down on the floor. I'm too ill to walk back. That means I can't get a bus back. So basically I've phoned up a couple of people to tell them that I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get back tonight because of what but I don't want to have to accuse Peter or anything like this, but somebody's doing it. It's got to be caused, because it was only happening there. But it's making me too ill to get back. So I've been told to phone an ambulance if I can't get back, and I don't really want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see how I feel in the next couple of hours, because there is a later bus back. The last bus is like 7:15 and it's only like 4 o'clock now, so not even that, I'm not sure. So I'll keep you informed on that. But also I've just had the runs again for the first time. But then again, whether this is being caused by what's causing the burning, I do not know. it's a different type of runs. It's more of a sort of it's not the runs I was getting the day where I was ill, because all yesterday I didn't have the runs once, and the burning occurred. It caused gastric problems. I've come out now and the runs have started again, but I have been fighting with no problems and burping for most of the day until now. But as I mentioned in the past, when this burning occurs, the after effects last for quite a few hours. I've known it to last 24 hours when the burning's occurred, but whoever's doing it or whoever's causing it just thinks, oh, it only happens for a few minutes, then it goes again. Where they're small-minded fucking prats that are trying to kill people with energy weapons. This is probably why Grace Waterman's gone to hospital, just a possibility, and why Hayden Mills rarely stays at at the place where I live. I mean, this is increasing now. This is getting dangerous. Right, so I'm on the next road. The average amount of people is, on average, the record-breaking amount is 17 cars, which was earlier this year. Your average is about 5 cars in 15 minutes. As I said, there's a record of 17. Record of 4 people walking on this stretch in that time period. Alright. And 4 cyclists for a stretch of time. As it stands today, 7 vehicles, 2 lots of people, no bikes, and obviously I'm going to divert here because there's the third. Not the most irrelevant or anything annoying, but where they can cause as much havoc and trouble as they can, the government controlling everyone's movement around me, then they will. There's nothing you can do about it, because they're some form of Satanists, but it's not Satanism as the way fucking burning's fucking come back. What's happened is the radiation that's being caused by Peter using this energy weapon, or whoever's using it, is it's travelling through the body, and it doesn't escape the body that quick. It's sort of it's a bit like if you're burning in oil. The oil keeps repeating itself. It's sort of it doesn't go that easy, and it's still affecting me very bad. I won't say what a crow's saying, but it's telling me to fuck a specific name which is not suitable to state. I'm not sure if the what causes this burning is affecting my causing gastric problems, but I've noticed that since I've left my place I've been struggling to sort of breathe, because obviously it causes breathing problems, but it's also causing you not being able to exit air from airways, sort of burping or farting or whatever. Well, I'm managing to do that since I've been out. So whether that's causing, or whatever's being used as an energy weapon is causing that, I do not know. And then I was giving it some thought, actually, as that was occurring, that there's a possibility that the actual bug, or the runs that I was getting, the watery runs, may be linked to this energy weapon, but that's not guaranteed, because I've not had it this extensive. Right, so it's been about an hour since I left my place, and the burning's still taking hold, very bloody painful, really burning. Right, so just get rid of setups a minute. Vertico DX Somerset Waste Partnership, red sectoral, sec white yellow grey, sectoral yellow, drain line tanker red, sec grey white. Right, there's been other vehicles, but I haven't written it down because I've just just feeling a bit under the weather because I'm actually better from the 24-hour bug I had, but I had a migraine, so I was able to go out, and I did go out yesterday. Couldn't go out until the evening because the headache was that bad, but I felt normal, and also the toilet issues stopped. So then we have a sex car timed, a creamy sex car timed, and a grey sex timed hit me, and a sexual car buggy, choked by catalyst, knife shaped, and a vehicle stopped me crossing, choked by 5 catalytic converters down a farm track, and now we've got another 2 down the farm track because the government need to cause as much fucking trouble and much havoc and as much shit stirring to choke me out with a catalytic converter as they can possibly fucking stack and pile up in my direction as an attempt to rip me to fucking pieces. But the problem is I don't come to pieces, that's the problem, it just makes me fucking angry. But the government need to do this. Incidentally, I had to get off not at the place that I anticipated to get off at, and I couldn't get on the bus I wanted to get on originally because the government forced control put too much action against me to do that. And obviously this burning's very bad, and I don't know how. For fuck's, they've broken the record on this track. They've broken the record. The government need to make it as fucking heavy as possible to cause as much fucking catalytic converter fucking stench as they can possibly cause. But how many cars is that? So I've had 6, 7, 8, that's 9. The record for that track is let me think. It's either the summer of 2022 in the very bad time period, or after April 2024, but before August 2024, where there was I think it's 6 cars or something like that. This is record breaking. Right, so I'm still feeling ill from the burning. Abri van, JJ van, choked by catalyst. Sick, black, sexual, knife shaped at me, and black and blue cars, and simply serve vehicles as well. Sick, black, sexual, knife shaped at me. Right, I just had to phone like the 111 service because I've walked out my place. I can't remember what the setups are now walking out, and Peter or whoever's causing this burning sensation has made me feel fucking terrible. I'm not very happy, and I won't be speaking to this person because obviously this is not done to make a suggestion or anything like this. This is done to try and attempt causing body organ failures or something like that. I'm not sure why he's doing it, and should be no reason for him to do it, but someone's causing it and they don't realise how dangerous it is, and they've put me in this situation. And there's a possibility this is why Grace Waterman is in hospital, but I can't confirm this because she's getting seizures. But if it is caused by that, then that needs to be looked into, because obviously I'm not very happy with this and I'm feeling very bad from it. So like I said, I can't remember what the setups are because I was struggling to walk. I was feeling dizzy, and as like anything, initially I was recovering from the stomach bug that I had, which yesterday I was feeling pretty much better, but I was awake all night and I needed some sleep today, and I didn't realise Peter or whoever's causing this burning was going to hit full whack the burning to a point where I've just made me feel fucking the worstest I've been for. Actually, it's probably the worstest I've felt for a couple of months, in fact. Going back to when I stopped doing those walks in the evening, speaking to my mother regarding cancer and whatever. It started again for a period of time then. It's that bad, and I've had no choice, and I've also had to contact the mental health team at Holy Court as well. So it was the 26th of November 2024, and overnight I was awake all night near enough, so I had a couple of hours into today, and it's been extremely bad. The burning has been excessively bad. I'm actually ill from it, so that's been starting, and when I woke up I had pins and needles and sensations, and I feel dizzy, and I got burning all over my body. So there's a possibility that a neighbour's using an energy weapon or something's being used to cause it. And by the feel of it, it's not being done to make a suggestion, it's being done possibly in a way to take someone's life or to make someone very ill, so I'm not very happy about that. The next thing is the threats claiming that I molested Sadie Dando and to smash me and all that. You're looking at about 300 threats in total since about 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning to the current time it is now, which is nearly 2 p.m. And obviously there's been a load of other issues as well. I can't remember what, but I'm that ill that I've got to actually report this because it shouldn't be this bad, so I'll inform you of the rest of the stuff that's going on when I go out.